Hello, so pretty quick, I have these different collections over here, which I want to organize in different scene layers and later on different passes over here, okay? So let's say for example that this robot, I only need the head. For example, I want to explicitly render the head out of the way and the body in another layer. So I'm going to create another new collection for this to work. And how do I do that? I'm just going to click his head and click probably the internal light. I think this one, yeah, this is the one. Plus this, plus this. Alright, so all of this is going to go like away. I want this on another separate pass, and then I'm going to try to um, render it out in a different separated pass. Okay, I want to do that, and I also want to do a general pass which will override the entire complete set of these materials. So let's do one thing at a time first. So I already have the body in this eDroid collection. Press M, new collection, helmet. It's going to move everything I had selected because I did it from the viewport. Remember, it's a very different thing to work here in the outliner. You should like totally remove your mindset from the outliner and concentrate every effort you make here in the viewport. Okay, the outliner is being worked right now with a lot of improvements. As a matter of fact, today they implemented more new amazing stuff for 2.9. So that's why every day we download 2.9 experimental, because there are new stuff being put there. Like I think color coding should have arrived already. If I don't have it, probably it's gonna be here tomorrow. Regardless. So helmet. Now helmet, if I deactivate it, I will not get the head, right? So how does this work? This creates a new complete scene. Okay, new complete scene, which you can get down here in your compositor. Okay, you need to have a compositor open. Many people prefer to have this like this, and then render using a backdrop, which is a render image. I'm going to press F12, which is the render image. Alt middle mouse, Alt middle mouse will do this. Alt V will zoom out. Alt V will zoom in. So that's that. Alt middle mouse again to move this thing. So many people prefer to compose this way. I don't like it. I think it's using a lot of resources for some reason. That's what I think. It's my own mindset. So I tend to put here an image editor, which is the result of whatever you do here. For example, I have this color ramp right now plugged into the mist pass, which I previously selected here from the pass from the passes list. You can see it here. So if you activate that, your render layers, which is this thing right here, okay, will show this. And if you have different scenes, you can switch into those scenes. That's why there are different categories at scene level and object level. So right now we're dealing with scene level, the upper top most level of data that there is, and that contains additional layers which you can create right here by pressing this little button. So what do you want from there? You can create overrides, you can create material AOFs, custom AOF, shader to AOFs, whatever. So this is how I prefer to compose. Here's my compositor tree and here's my result tree. So whatever you do here, it's going to be shown over here immediately. See that? This lives right here under an image editor with the render result active right here. Render result active. You can see that. So okay, we need the head, so the helmet. So now I'm going to create a new layer, which is going to be called, I'm going to copy the settings for everything I see here. And which settings are this referring to? The settings that are right here. This settings, all of these, 64, 16, ambient occlusion, bloom, everything. This is going to copy everything. And yes, I want to do that, so just copy the settings. Okay, now I have this view layer, which is the one. I'm going to call this helmet pass layer. Okay, so you can understand what's going on. Now I'm going to re-render again. I'm going to press F12. Now I have all of this, but in here it has been populated with my custom layer pass, helmet pass layer. You can see it right there. And so with that, what can I do? I need to separate. Whenever this is active, I need the other ones to be deactivated. I don't need the collection, I don't need the eDroid, I don't need the camera or the lights, I just need the helmet, right? And this is what most people get confused in. Render layers, which are the global container to find inside any scene or each scene, it's built to find independent render layers or render passes. So what is a pass? We can create a pass by overriding this, explicitly overriding the head. As such, I'm going to Shift D, duplicate this one, because it's a node. Please remember, render layers, it's a node here in the compositor, which is going to be fed by, first of all, the scene level, what is the name of the scene, and then later on with the layer pass that you previously created. But this layer pass has an amazing property to switch on or switch off objects like this. So right now I'm looking at in the viewport using the render pass mist. I'm looking at this on how this is going to be finished and completed. But now you have the options to even select more stuff, like for example the bloom. This is how the bloom looks, the bloom pass looks, and of course I need a general combined pass. So I get only the face right here. You see what I'm saying? The helmet, which is the only marked thing right now, is living on this layer. I'm not in this view layer, no. I'm living right here in the helmet path layer, which has the property to activate or deactivate collections. Okay? This activates or deactivates collections, such as this. And I have duplicated here in my compositor the render layers, but now I'm going to switch from the view layer to the helmet path layer. I don't have anything yet because I have not rendered. And even if I render, I cannot view it because it is not connected to any kind of viewer nor any kind of a composite. Composite will show you the image here whenever you activate the backdrop. But the viewer will show you right here whatever changes you're doing. So that's what I'm most interested in. So right now I'm going to take this image from these render layers and I'm going to directly connect it to the viewer, okay? We could just forget about all of this. Just forget about all of that. Right now, if I press F12, this is going to receive the data, and obviously it's going to render just the head. Watch, F12. Okay? I can see all of my passes being connected, being correctly created. And now I'm going to come here. I'm going to look at the helmet pass layer. Sure enough, it refreshes, and now I can see the head right there. Okay? So now I need to override. I'm doing this pretty fast. You can find everything about this in other places, in other YouTube videos, but here you can do this pretty quickly. So what we're looking at right now, it's a scene which has the cycles render engine active, and only in cycles you can get the overrides. You cannot get the overrides in any other render engine, sorry. So you come here into the view layer properties, and then you will have two additional new options. One of these is override. So here, whenever you open this, you're going to get the list of the entire materials that exist on the scene. And what I tend to use is to assign different shader materials to different spheres in the scenes, and then I put those spheres into a single collection, like for example like this, my shader only collection, right? So that I'll know that whenever I activate this guy, I'm going to be seeing my shaders assigned. And the way I need them to be assigned is because this shield right here represents a user. So whenever you're creating something and you're not assignating any user, in this case the sphere is a user, basically it stores data, shader data. And if you're not going to use a sphere to store it, then you can create simply a new material and then press this shield, which will create a fake user. That means a way to store that data without any object, because obviously every object can store shaders, right? So that's that. And now I'm going to assign the checker to override the green material. I'm going to switch off all of my other spheres. I already explained why I do that. And if you press F12, we should get a green monkey, right? But because we have a checker, which is this checker active, then we will not get it. I'm going to delete this because for now I don't want to get you confused. If I don't have a material override in cycles, then the monkey will render out green. But because I have an override material, okay, I selected this one, checker, I'm going to get a checkered monkey. Now watch that. Right now it's rendering my custom pass, which I need to connect, but let's go to the combine, which is the end result, and you can see it right there. That's my checker material applied, overriding this. Now you say, okay, but I need to have the same monkey but render out at once the material and then this other one material at once. I don't want to duplicate. I don't want to create fake users. I don't want to create more collections. How in the world do I, render this out and then get this other result as well? So that's when custom shaders, shader to AOV comes in play. I'm going to delete this, okay? So I don't have the material override. So right now I'm going to press F12. I'm going to get the green monkey. Of course there is. I have not placed any lights, and as you can see, cycle is doing its job. So again, I'm going to come here to find the shader to AOV in the passes. Okay, so here in passes we have a special how do you call this, tab. This has a name. It's not tab, it's sub tab or something like that. It's got a special name. Anyways, a subcategory from passes, shader to AOV. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to call it my AOV. Okay, my shader to AOV. Shader to AOV. Okay, like to AOV. I don't want it to make this too complicated. Just my shader to AOV. That's it. I'm going to copy that because I need to populate Shift A, and now new nodes. Whenever you switch from Eevee to cycles, new nodes for the shader tree have appeared. So in this case it's AOV output, and what this is going to do is to render kind of like an override, except that you're going to create your own shader here in the same level data that this monkey object exists. So I don't need to create an extra bold shader there. No, I can create it here so that it's part of the same render material. And then I'm going to use a different thing. I'm going to use, I don't know, moose grave. I want to use a moose grave texture. Now how does this look? It looks like that. This is what I want, okay? I don't want to do anything else. So I'm going to connect this one, and then I'm going to name Control V. Remember, we copied it, right? We copied the name. This name, we copied it, shader to AOV, we copied it, and we're pasting it there. So right now, if I render, I should get a black color or any other color that I choose. Like, let's do this simple, okay? I'm going to press F12. That's my monkey, and I'm looking at my combined pass, but now I can look at my shader to AOV pass, which is blue. See? I didn't have to do a duplicate, I didn't have to create another collection, I didn't have to make another view layer, no. I did this by shader to AOV, which is only available, please understand, on cycles, not on Eevee. If you switch to Eevee, look what happens. It disappears. You don't have shader to AOV in Eevee. And this is because we're working in screen space, while here we're working with path tracing. Path tracing can have custom AOVs. You know that. You showed me this some years ago. So anyways, you connect this, and now you press F12, and sure enough, I'm getting my result from my shader to AOV, and I can also switch and get my combined pass. But you say, well, what if this was an animation? How could I get that pass with the my shader to AOV and the combined colors? Well, you put this in an image sequence, and because your image sequence already targets a folder, this other additional pass, my shader to AOV, it's going to be written as such. My shader to AOV underscore 001 000, it's going to get automatically written. Okay? Of course, you're going to get your green monkey sequence. Let's say that it's 100 frames. So when it gets to 99 and 100, then both of these are completed at the same time. Once this buffer gets finished, the next one follows. It is true if you have even more shader to AOVs. Okay, they are going to be computed in this sequence, and as you can see, it's computing color. Okay. Of course, you can change it to value, which only will render the procedural data, black and white data. You can say it that way, okay, or color. Right? So you can have as many different shader to AOV, but just using cycles. And then you will arm your shader inside your going to press escape. You're going to arm your shader inside the same monkey, because you can see here my monkey is selected, and then my shaders list right here only has green available. But when you create shader to AOV, you're free to create as many as you want, but this will only get written at the time of the render. Or in this case, if I press F12 again, okay, these things are multi-layered, but you need then to save as multi-layered image EXR. So you can come here and then switch to EXR multi-layer right here. Open EXR multi-layer, and that is going to grab all of your passes and save them at once, like a sandwich, you know, all at once. Of course, if you target your output to be not PNG, but of course OpenEXR multi-layer, everything is going to be written inside there. Now that's the old way to do stuff, because right now if you need something specifically to isolate or to create, like say for example I need only the eyes separated, I'm not going to go there, edit the eyes, cut the eyes off, move them to another layer. No, that's not how it works. If the eyes have, and they will have, a different color, let's say for example this is the eye. Let me see if I can connect. No, I knew it wouldn't work. Let's say I have all this eye in edit mode. I'm going to go here to the material. This is how you create clusters, by the way. You press plus. This is going to be called eye. Okay, and I clicked assign because I have this vertices selected, so I'm assigning them to this whatever material it is, and I get the properties for the recently created material, which by default will be the principal shader. I'm going to pick this base color such as red. So if I press tab, I go to object mode, alt A to unselect everything. Let me get rid of the geometry overlay. So now I have my monkey with the red eye, right? So let's say I only need that red eye to be excluded or isolated, but I don't need to have to create custom shader AOVs. No, what we do here in 2020 is to use Cryptomatte, which can isolate by data your object or your materials. If you should press this and this, and what it does is that it can recognize if either you're isolating an object or if either you're isolating a material. But of course, you did this with planning, so you know that you are going to be explicitly using this red material for something. Okay, I'm just doing it this way. You can assign this with different methods like I showed already. So I'm going to only isolate materials. You do not touch this. This is the level of sensitivity for transparency objects. So just leave that as default. You don't need to touch anything else. So I'm going to delete this, okay, shader to AOV, and I'm not going to have it anymore. But I'm going to be working with Cryptomatte. Now let's see what Cryptomatte does. I'm going to press F12 so I can get the data in. And right now it's rendering. Of course, it rendered and combined pass, and now you see that you're getting a crypto material 000. You don't see anything because we have not picked or isolated any of these materials. So I'm going to press escape. I'm going to go back to my compositor because that's where I'm going to get all of that data from. I'm going to click use nodes. Yeah, I know this should be activated by default, but there are so many things that we can talk about this. Anyway, so there you have it. Now you have the CryptoMat. How do you see the CryptoMat? Well, like I already mentioned, if you're going to work with the compositor, you can activate backdrop and everything will appear back there, which basically saves you one window space, but you do not want that. What you want is to have a separate image editor, because that way you can see the render result always right here. If you click render result, everything that you put Shift A in a viewer node, you're going to get it over there. So that's it, ping. Now whatever I do, I'm going to be looking at this. Now Shift A, and since we're working with CryptoMat, you need to activate that option, CryptoMat. Okay, this guy is like let's say your picker. This guy is your picker, so that you know, so that the compositing nodes know who is going to dictate your mat. This is how we get mats in 2020. Of course, you can isolate stuff. I saw that the other video that they mentioned this, so that's good. Yes, you come here and you basically activate this one last resource right here, which also works in Eevee, and that's that. Okay, you know how to use that. But like I mentioned before, everything is done via CryptoMat these days. You can still use that, of course, it's very useful. But the way we do here, it's like connect all of this, CryptoMaterial 0, CryptoMaterial 1. Yes, I know, you have to connect them manually, but it works. And now you need to visualize this, okay? You need to visualize this, and of course, we already mentioned you need the viewer for that. So I'm going to click here, and you don't see anything because we now need to activate the objects, or in this case the material that we're interested in. And how do we do that? We pick the picker, and this is true for all of the other softwares as well. Nuke, After Effects, you always have a picker so that you can isolate. I'm introducing you to the CryptoMat mentality right now, because this is something that it does not get addressed very often, but it's so useful in 2020 and plus. So you click this thing here, and now we're going to isolate explicitly this. With that, you get a mat, but you do not see it. Why? Because you're seeing the end result. Look at this. This node is saying, you know, viewer, just present me the end result. Right here, the render result, what we call. Well, what you want to do now that you have picked this object, this material, it's to see the mat. So you're going to come here, and now you're going to see the mat. Whoops, I forgot to feed the image. See this image? I need to feed that. Bam. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I have to make a correction. The composite is this. Okay, the render result is the composite view. So image to image, and I get my monkey. Since the CryptoMat has already selected the material right here, then I can see the mat. Of course, you'll see the mat. And finally, the pick. What did we choose? This one. So if you want to select another thing right here, for example, you can keep on adding, and all it's going to do here is to apply a comma, and then again brackets and the number ID of that object, and we'll continue to add stuff there. I have an explicit full video about CryptoMat and how it works on my YouTube, so I beg you to check that one out. So image goes to viewer. See this is the viewer. So right now it's not gonna get anything because I have not rendered. F12, and as you can see, it's rendering out the composite, which is the render result here in the image viewer, and that's why we're seeing this pick being displayed here. But if I Control Shift Click, I'm going to be seeing that, of course, here in the compositor. So that's that. I hope it has walked you through all the features and how they connect, because I get that Blender has the most difficult associations between workspaces. This is without saying. I mean, this goes without saying. That's why I prefer to walk you like the way we're used to, because this is the most comprehensible way, but there are other more advanced stuff, and along the way you'll get to know those techniques. So So thank you very much.